"These energy readings don't make sense," muttered Dr. Kang, Yuna's research partner, studying the data streams. Deep beneath their feet, ancient sensors stirred. The aliens' tone changed within hours. Their leader, Supreme Commander Talos, demanded immediate surrender and access to what he called the sleeping giants. No one understood what he meant until the bombardment began. The research center buzzed with activity as scientists and military personnel rushed to understand the situation. Yuna's hands flew across her keyboard, analyzing the strange energy patterns that had caught Dr. Kang's attention. Something about them seemed familiar, yet completely foreign at the same time. Outside, the sky had turned an eerie shade of purple as more alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. They were beautiful in a terrifying way. Their hulls seemed to shimmer with an inner light, like oil on water. The ships ranged in size from small scouts to massive carriers that blotted out the sun. Colonel Lee from the Korean military burst into the research center, his face grim. "Dr. Park, Dr. Kang, we need your expertise. The aliens are broadcasting on frequencies we've never seen before, but there's something else, something responding from underground." Yuna pulled up the seismic data on her screen. The readings showed vibrations coming from deep within the Earth, but they weren't random. They had a pattern, almost like a heartbeat. Dr. Kang leaned over her shoulder, his coffee forgotten in his hand. "Look at this," Yuna pointed to a series of peaks in the data. These signals started the moment the alien ships arrived. It's as if something down there recognized them. The building shook as the first alien bombs fell on Seoul. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the city's defense systems activating, missiles and anti-aircraft guns firing at the alien ships. But their weapons might as well have been paper airplanes for all the good they did. The alien shields simply absorbed or deflected everything Earth threw at them. "Everyone to the bunker," Colonel Lee shouted as another explosion rocked the building. But Yuna couldn't tear herself away from her screens. The underground signals were getting stronger, and now they were spreading. Similar readings were being reported from sites around the world, from Egypt to Mexico, from Easter Island to Turkey. Dr. Kang grabbed her arm. "Yuna, we need to go. Now." Just as they turned to leave, all the screens in the research center went black. Then, one by one, they lit up with a strange symbol. A spiral within a circle, with lines radiating outward like a sun. "That's impossible," Yuna whispered. "That's the same symbol we found in the caves last year. The one dated to over 12,000 years ago." The symbol pulsed with a soft blue light, and then words began appearing on the screen in every known language simultaneously. "Verification complete. Genetic markers identified. Emergency Protocol Alpha initiated." Through the chaos of the alien attack, through the sounds of destruction outside, a new noise began to rise from deep below the research center. It was a low hum at first, but it quickly grew into a rumble that shook the entire building. Colonel Lee's radio crackled to life. "Sir, something's happening at Gyeongbokgung Palace. The ground, it's opening up." Similar reports started flooding in from ancient sites worldwide. The Earth itself seemed to be awakening, responding to some long-forgotten signal. In orbit, the alien ships suddenly stopped their attack. Their leader, Supreme Commander Talos, broadcast one final message before the bombardment resumed with even greater intensity. "The sleepers must not wake. Destroy them all." But it was too late. Whatever had been sleeping beneath humanity's feet for millennia was already stirring. As Yuna and her colleagues huddled in the research center's bunker, monitoring the situation through backup systems, she realized that Earth's ancient history was about to collide with its present in a way no one could have predicted. The aliens hadn't come to conquer Earth. They had come to prevent something. Something that had been waiting, hidden in plain sight beneath humanity's oldest structures. Something that even now was beginning to rise from its long slumber, ready to defend Earth once again. As the day turned to night, the sky lit up not just with alien weapons, but with something else. Ancient defenses, awakening one by one across the globe. Humanity was about to discover that they weren't as defenseless as they thought, and that their history was far older and more complex than anyone had imagined. The first contact with alien life had gone horribly wrong, but as Una stared at the pulsing symbol on her screen, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a much larger story, one that had been waiting thousands of years to be told. Captain Han Ta-won of the South Korean Air Force watched helplessly as his squadron's most advanced fighters were swatted from the sky like insects. Similar scenes played out worldwide. Humanity's best weapons proved useless against the alien shields. In his underground bunker, Professor Kim Do-young noticed something odd on his seismic monitors. As bombs fell on Seoul, the old mountains began to tremble with a rhythm that couldn't be natural. "Sir," his assistant Minna called out, "you need to see this. It's happening at every major archaeological site worldwide." The skies over Seoul blazed with fire as Captain Han banked his F-35 hard to the right, trying desperately to avoid another alien energy beam. Two more of his pilots vanished in bright flashes of light, their planes reduced to nothing but falling debris. "Eagle Squadron, pull back. I repeat, pull back to safe distance." Han's voice cracked as he gave the order. His remaining pilots followed, their advanced fighters looking small and fragile against the massive alien warships that now filled the sky. From his cockpit, Han could see Seoul burning. The city's defenses, missiles, artillery, even experimental energy weapons, did nothing against the alien shields. It was like throwing pebbles at a tank. The alien ships moved with impossible grace, their hulls shifting color like living metal. Underground, Professor Kim's fingers flew across his keyboard as he analyzed the strange seismic patterns. The vibrations were getting stronger, and they had a regularity that defied natural explanation. It was as if something massive was waking up inside the mountains themselves. "Minna, show me the global data," he called out. His young assistant pulled up a world map on the main screen. Red dots pulsed at archaeological sites across the planet. The pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, the ancient cities of South America, and dozens more locations. "The pattern is the same everywhere," Minna explained, her voice tight with excitement and fear. "And look at this. The frequencies match exactly with those strange energy signatures Dr. Park detected just before the attack began." Above ground, Captain Han made one last desperate attempt to protect a group of civilian evacuation vehicles. His missile lock warned him of a clear shot at one of the smaller alien craft, but even a direct hit with his most powerful weapon just splashed harmlessly against their shields. "This is impossible," he muttered, watching his ammunition counter drop to zero. "Everything we have, everything we've built, it's all useless." The alien ships seemed to be concentrating their fire on specific locations. They weren't just attacking cities. They were targeting ancient sites, as if they knew something humanity didn't. The mountains near Seoul took especially heavy fire, even though they held no military value. Back in the bunker, Professor Kim's equipment suddenly registered a massive spike in activity. The mountain wasn't just vibrating anymore. It was resonating, like a tuning fork struck by some giant hand. Similar reports flooded in from sites worldwide. "Professor," Minna called out, her eyes wide. "The energy readings, they're forming some kind of pattern. It looks almost like a countdown." The bunker's lights flickered as power surged through ancient systems that had lain dormant for millennia. On their screens, symbols began appearing. The same ones that had been puzzling archaeologists for centuries. But now they were glowing, changing, coming alive. Captain Han, still flying what might be his last mission, saw something that made him question everything he knew. A section of mountain near Seoul began to move, not from the alien bombardment, but from within. Metal surfaces, untouched by time, began emerging from the rock face. "Base Command, are you seeing this?" he transmitted, banking his fighter for a better view. "The mountain. It's opening up." Professor Kim and Minna felt their bunker shake as ancient machinery activated deep below. Their instruments were going crazy, registering power levels that shouldn't have been possible. Through their security feeds, they watched in awe as sections of what they had thought were natural rock formations began to transform. The alien attacks suddenly intensified, focusing all their firepower on these emerging structures. But whatever was awakening had its own defenses, fields of energy, far more advanced than anything humanity had created, sprang up to protect the ancient sites. "It's not just here," Minna reported, her voice filled with wonder. "It's happening everywhere. London, Cairo, Beijing, all reporting the same thing. Something's coming out of the ground, something that's been waiting for a very long time." As Captain Han watched from his fighter, a massive door opened in the mountainside, revealing darkness within. But this darkness was alive with points of light, like a starfield had been captured and stored inside the Earth. His radio crackled with a new signal, broadcasting on all frequencies in a language that felt both ancient and familiar. The initial alien assault had revealed something incredible. Earth had never been defenseless. Its true protectors had just been sleeping, waiting for the moment they would be needed again. As Han, Professor Kim, and millions of others watched in amazement, humanity's forgotten guardians began to awake. The real battle was about to begin, and nothing would ever be the same. Li Jinwu was giving tours at Gyeongju when the ground split open. Tourists scattered as ancient stones rearranged themselves, revealing gleaming metal beneath centuries of Earth. Similar events occurred at sites worldwide. The pyramids, Easter Island, Göbekli Tepe. From these openings emerged massive structures, ships, defense platforms, and machines beyond human understanding. Holographic messages activated, showing human figures in ancient but advanced armor. They spoke in a language that somehow everyone could understand. The time of awakening has come. Jinwu stood frozen, his tour guide badge glinting in the strange light now pouring from the Earth. The ancient Silla dynasty tombs, which he had described to tourists thousands of times, were transforming before his eyes. The grassy mounds peeled back like orange skin, revealing structures that defied everything he knew about history. The tourists ran screaming, their phones held high to capture the impossible scene. But Jinwu couldn't move. He watched as metal surfaces, untouched by time, emerged from beneath the soil. They gleamed with a soft blue light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with his heartbeat. Above them, alien ships continued their assault on the city, but their weapons couldn't penetrate the shield that had suddenly appeared over Gyeongju. The shield sparkled like diamond dust, extending in a perfect dome over the ancient capital. A deep humming filled the air as more structures rose from the ground. What looked like massive gun turrets emerged from where temple ruins had stood moments before. They swiveled smoothly, tracking the alien ships overhead with precision that spoke of advanced technology. "This is impossible," Jinwu whispered, his historical knowledge warring with what his eyes were seeing. But the evidence was undeniable. Their ancestors had hidden something extraordinary beneath their feet. The air shimmered, and suddenly human figures appeared around him, holograms, but so realistic he could almost believe they were solid. They wore armor that seemed to flow like liquid metal, with symbols that matched those found in ancient Korean texts. One of the figures turned to face Jinwu directly. Its helmet retracted like water flowing backward, revealing a face that could have been his ancestor. The hologram smiled, and when it spoke, Jinwu understood every word, though he knew it wasn't speaking any modern language. "We have waited long for this day," the figure said. "The seedlings have grown strong. The defenses can now be entrusted to their care." More holograms appeared, showing scenes that made Jinwu's head spin. He saw vast fleets of ships, battles among the stars, and Earth, but Earth as it had been thousands of years ago, when his ancestors apparently commanded technologies that put their current achievements to shame. The ground trembled again as something massive began to rise from beneath the largest tomb. A ship, sleek and powerful, lifted into the air. Its surface rippled with the same strange metals he had seen in the holograms. Similar reports flooded in from around the world, vessels rising from the pyramids, defensive installations emerging from beneath Easter Island's silent sentinels. Jin Wu's phone buzzed constantly with messages from other tour guides and historians worldwide. The same thing was happening everywhere. Humanity's oldest sites were revealing their true purpose, and that purpose was defense. The holographic figures began to move through the ancient site, touching panels and surfaces that Jin Wu had never known existed. Systems hummed to life, responding to commands given millennia ago. The air filled with floating screens showing tactical displays, power readings, and information in that strange yet understandable language. "Your genetics are the key," another hologram explained, this one appearing right beside Jin Wu. "We hid our technology where only our descendants could find it. The enemy has returned, but you are ready now." As if in response to these words, the ship that had emerged from the tomb descended slowly. A doorway appeared in its smooth side, opening like a blooming flower. Jin Wu felt a pull, an undeniable urge to step forward. The hologram nodded. "Your blood remembers what your mind has forgotten. The knowledge of generations sleeps in your cells. It is time to awaken." Above them, the alien ships pressed their attack with renewed fury, as if they knew what was happening and were desperate to stop it. But they couldn't breach the ancient shields. Whatever their ancestors had built, it was far beyond anything humanity, or their attackers, had now. Jin Wu took a deep breath and stepped toward the ship. As he approached, lights flickered along its hull in response to his presence. The interior beckoned, promising answers to questions he hadn't even known to ask. Behind him, the holograms began to fade, their message delivered. But their words echoed in his mind. The time of awakening has come. As Jin Wu stepped into the ship, he realized that everything he knew about human history was about to change. The tour guide who had spent his life telling others about the past was about to become part of humanity's new future. The awakening had begun, and there would be no going back. In the newly emerged command center beneath Guiyangju, Yuna and Jin Wu watched in awe as the AI interface, calling itself Guardian, explained humanity's true history. Their civilization once spanned galaxies. The hidden fleet was their legacy, preserved when their ancestors chose to begin anew on Earth. "Your genetics carry the key," Guardian explained. "You are the descendants of both our greatest pilots and those who chose to forget. Now you must remember." The command center hummed with ancient power, its walls covered in flowing displays that showed star maps and fleet positions. Yuna's scientific mind struggled to process everything she was seeing. Next to her, Jin Wu reached out to touch one of the floating holograms, watching as it responded to his movement. Guardian's form shifted like liquid light as it continued its explanation. The AI took the shape of different historical figures as it spoke, showing how humanity's guardians had hidden in plain sight throughout history, guiding and protecting Earth's development. "Your ancestors were mighty," Guardian said, its voice resonating through the chamber. "They built ships that could cross galaxies in moments. They created worlds and lifted entire species to the stars. But they also faced terrible enemies." The displays changed to show massive space battles, fleets of ships darkening entire star systems. Yuna gasped as she recognized familiar constellations, but from angles impossible from Earth. These were memories, preserved in perfect detail by Guardian systems. "Why did they hide everything?" Jin Wu asked, watching as images of ancient Earth appeared, showing massive ships being sealed away beneath mountains and oceans. "The war nearly destroyed everything," Guardian replied. "Your ancestors faced a choice: continue fighting until nothing remained, or hide their power, and give humanity a chance to grow strong again naturally. They chose the latter, but they left us to watch and protect." Yuna moved to one of the control panels, her fingers hovering over symbols that somehow made perfect sense to her. "These systems, they're responding to us. How is this possible?" "Your DNA contains more than just physical traits," Guardian explained. "It carries memory. the accumulated knowledge of generations, locked away but not lost. The enemy's return has triggered your awakening. The AI showed them more images, secret facilities hidden beneath every major civilization in human history. The pyramids, Stonehenge, the ancient cities of Asia and the Americas, all of them contain pieces of humanity's forgotten legacy. Each of you carries different aspects of the old knowledge. Guardian continued. Dr. Park, your genetics carry the memories of our greatest scientists. Mr. Lee, yours contain the skills of our most accomplished pilots. As if to demonstrate, new holograms appeared around them, showing complex equations and ship designs. Yuna found herself understanding concepts that should have been impossible, theories that made modern physics look like child's play. Jin Woo felt it too, a strange familiarity with the ship systems, as if he had flown them countless times before. His hands moved automatically over the controls, bringing up tactical displays and navigation charts spanning multiple galaxies. The enemy we face now. Guardian's form shifted again, showing the alien ships currently attacking Earth. They are the descendants of those who forced us into hiding. They never stopped searching for Earth, knowing what was hidden here. More displays activated, showing real-time battles happening around the globe. Ancient defense systems were fully online now, protecting major cities with shields that the aliens couldn't penetrate. The hidden fleet was emerging piece by piece, remembering its purpose. But why now? Yuna asked, watching as another alien ship fell to Earth's awakened defenses. Why didn't our ancestors preserve their civilization instead of hiding it? Guardian's form solidified into something more human-like, its expression serious. Because they believe that struggle makes us stronger. They wanted humanity to develop its own path, its own strength. The hidden legacy was always meant as a last resort, to be awakened only in humanity's greatest need. The AI gestured, and a new hologram appeared. A complete map of human history, but now showing the hidden thread of guardians and protectors who had guided Earth's development from the shadows. Every major leap in human technology, every crucial discovery, Guardian explained, was carefully planned. We ensured humanity would be ready when the time came. And now, that time is here. Yuna and Jin Woo shared a look, understanding the weight of what they were being told. They weren't just learning about their history. They were becoming part of it, taking up the mantle their ancestors had left for them. The knowledge will come faster now, Guardian said. The more you work with these systems, the more you will remember. But remember this, you are not just inheriting our power. You are inheriting our responsibility to protect and guide, to use this power wisely. The command center's lights pulsed, and new alerts appeared on the screens. More ancient sites were activating around the world. More people were discovering their hidden legacy, remembering skills and knowledge their ancestors had preserved for this moment. We are ready, Jin Woo said, feeling the truth of it in his bones. Beside him, Yuna nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities as ancient knowledge merged with her modern understanding. The legacy of a star-spanning civilization was awakening, and humanity would never be the same. The time for hiding was over. The time for remembering had begun. Song, Minho never expected to become a starship captain. Yet here, he stood on the bridge of an ancient destroyer, neural interfaces connecting him to systems that felt oddly familiar. Beside him, Park Jae-yun commanded their fighter squadrons with inherited skill. Their first victory came over Busan, when Minho's ship destroyed 3 alien cruisers. The stellar Concordat hadn't expected resistance. They certainly hadn't expected ships that could pierce their supposedly invincible shields. The ancient destroyer, which Minho had named Dawn's Light, hummed with power beneath his feet. Neural links fed information directly into his mind. Shield status, weapon systems, engine output, all feeling as natural as breathing. Just 3 days ago, he had been a high school physics teacher. Now he commanded a warship that made humanity's most advanced technology look primitive. Enemy ships approaching from Vector 3, Jae-yun announced, her hands dancing over the holographic controls. The fighter squadrons under her command moved like a perfect dance, their pilots awakening to skills passed down through generations of dormant genes. Minho watched the tactical display as 5 Concordat battleships emerged from hyperspace. They were massive vessels, each one nearly twice the size of his destroyer. 3 days ago, such ships had terrified humanity. Now, Minho felt only calm determination. "All hands, battle stations," he ordered, his voice steady. The crew, all of them awakened like him, responded instantly. The ship's ancient weapons powered up, humming with energies that modern science couldn't explain. The first alien shots splashed harmlessly against Dawn's light's shields. Minho allowed himself a small smile. The Concordat had grown overconfident in their years of unopposed expansion. They had forgotten what they were truly facing. "Fighter squadrons, engage at will," Jai-Yun commanded. Her pilots responded beautifully, their small craft darting between the massive alien vessels. Ancient fighters, barely larger than modern jets, tore through the supposedly impenetrable alien shields like they weren't even there. Minho's hands moved across the controls, muscle memory from ancestors he had never known guiding his actions. Dawn's light banked hard, its inertial dampeners allowing maneuvers that should have crushed the crew. Energy weapons lashed out, cutting through one of the alien battleship's shields and slicing its hull open. "They're trying to retreat," Jai-Yun reported, excitement clear in her voice. "Their shields are adapting, but not fast enough." The neural interface showed Minho exactly what she meant. The Concordat ships were attempting to modify their defenses, but the ancient weapons simply adjusted faster. Every shot that landed taught their systems more about the enemy's capabilities. Another alien battleship exploded, its reactor going critical after a precise strike from Dawn's light's main guns. The remaining 3 ships began to pull back, their retreat showing none of the grace of their arrival. "Should we pursue?" Jai-Yun asked, her fighters already in position to chase the fleeing enemy. Minho considered for a moment, letting the ship's tactical systems analyze the situation. "No," he decided. "Let them run. Let them tell the others what happened here." The bridge crew cheered as the alien ships vanished into hyperspace. It wasn't just a victory, it was a message. Humanity wasn't helpless anymore. They had remembered who they were. Through the neural link, Minho could feel every part of his ship, from the ancient reactor core to the living metal of the hull. The technology was incredible, adapting and learning with each engagement. But more incredible was how natural it all felt, how right. "Multiple contacts," Jai-Yun called out suddenly. "But these are ours, more ships awakening around the peninsula." The tactical display showed them, destroyers, cruisers, and carriers rising from hidden bases beneath the ocean and mountains. Each one found its crew, called to them through genetic memories passed down through countless generations. "Sol Command is messaging all awakened vessels," one of the bridge crew reported. "They're coordinating a global counterattack. We're to join the Pacific Fleet." Minho nodded, feeling the surge of pride as he watched more ships join their formation. The Concordat had thought they were attacking a primitive world, easy prey for their expansionist empire. Instead, they had awakened humanity's sleeping giants. "Plot a course to the rendezvous point," he ordered, "and get me a channel to the fleet command. They'll want our combat data from this engagement." As Dawn's light moved to join the growing fleet, Minho thought about how much had changed in just 3 days. The world had learned not just that they weren't alone in the universe, but that they had never been alone. Their ancestors had been watching, waiting, preparing them for this moment. "Do you ever wonder," Jai-Yun asked quietly, "why they chose us? Why our generations were the ones meant to remember?" Minho looked out at the stars, seeing them now with both modern eyes and ancient knowledge. "Maybe we weren't chosen," he replied. "Maybe we earned it. Maybe everything humanity has faced, everything we've overcome, was preparing us for this." The ship's systems hummed in agreement, ancient technology responding to thoughts that were both his and not his. They had been given an incredible legacy, But what mattered now was what they would do with it. The counterattack was just beginning. Humanity had awakened, remembered, and risen. And the galaxy would never be the same. They were our ancient enemy, Guardian revealed to the assembled commanders. The stellar Concordat arose from the ashes of those we once defeated. They came seeking revenge. The final battle for Earth's orbit turned space itself into a light show. Minho's fleet, now joined by ships awakened worldwide, engaged the full Concordat armée. Ancient weapons flared to life as humanity remembered its power. The command center beneath Gyeongju hummed with energy as military leaders from across Earth gathered to hear Guardian's revelation. The A's form shifted through various historical figures as it explained the full truth of humanity's past conflict with the Concordat. They were called the Dominion then, Guardian explained, showing holographic images of ancient battles. We defeated them, but at a terrible cost. Instead of destroying them completely, we chose mercy. Now they have returned, calling themselves the Stellar Concordat, but their hearts remain unchanged. Minho stood at attention, feeling the weight of history through his neural link with dawn's light. Around Earth, thousands of ships had awakened from their long slumber. The planet's orbit was now filled with humanity's ancient fleet, their hulls gleaming with power that had waited millennia to be used again. The Concordat's full armada dropped out of hyperspace like a metal storm, thousands of ships darkening the sky above Earth. Their vessels had evolved over the centuries, but Minho could see the same basic designs that Guardian showed in its historical records. All ships, Battle Formation Delta, Minho commanded. His voice carried to every awakened vessel in Earth's defense fleet. The neural networks connected them all, sharing tactical data and combat experiences in real time. The space around Earth lit up as both fleets engaged. Energy weapons carved lines of light across the void. Fighter squadrons darted between capital ships like swarms of angry insects. The Concordat fought with the fury of ancient hatred, but humanity's remembered skills proved more than a match. They fear us, Jia-Yun observed from her position coordinating fighter attacks. Look at their formations. They're fighting desperately, not tactically. She was right. The Concordat ships pressed their attack with reckless abandon, sacrificing vessels to try to break through to Earth. But humanity's defensive screen held firm, ancient shields absorbing or deflecting everything thrown at them. Guardian's voice echoed through the command channels. They know what will happen if humanity fully awakens. They remember the power we once wielded, the civilization we built. They would rather destroy Earth than see that power rise again. Minho watched as Dawn's light's weapons tore through another enemy cruiser. The ancient destroyer moved like a living thing, responding to his thoughts faster than any manual control could allow. Around him, similar scenes played out as humanity's fleet engaged the enemy. The battle reached its peak when the Concordat launched their final gambit. Their flagship, a vessel larger than anything humanity had yet seen, powered up what appeared to be some kind of superweapon. Energy readings went off the scales as it prepared to fire. All ships, concentrate fire on that flagship, Minho ordered. The human fleet responded as one, ancient weapons powering up to maximum capacity. The space between the fleets filled with energy as both sides unleashed everything they had. The Concordat flagship's weapon fired, a beam of pure destruction that could have cracked a planet. But humanity's combined shields held, the ancient technology adapting and strengthening under the assault. The return fire from Earth's fleet was devastating, overwhelming the flagship's defenses and reducing it to expanding debris. With their flagship destroyed and their superweapon neutralized, the remaining Concordat ships began to retreat. They jumped to hyperspace in groups, their once mighty armada reduced to fleeing survivors. Guardian's presence filled the command networks again. They will return to their space, but they will remember this day. Humanity has not just defended Earth. We have announced our return to the galaxy. The cheers of victory echoed through every ship and command center around the planet. But Minho noticed something interesting in Guardian's words. The AI had said, We, not you. It saw itself as part of humanity, not separate from it. As the fleet regrouped and began recovery operations, Minho received a private message from Guardian. Your ancestors would be proud, the AI told him. They hoped that when the time came, their descendants would remember not just how to fight, but why we fought, to protect, to preserve, to build something better than what came before. The stars looked different to Minho now, filled with both promise and responsibility. Humanity had won their first major battle since Awakening, but he knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was a vast place, filled with both wonders and dangers that their ancestors had known well. The ancient fleet moved into defensive positions around Earth, their crews beginning to fully understand the legacy they had inherited. They were no longer just the defenders of a single planet. They were the heirs to a civilization that had once spanned the stars, and they were ready to take their place in the galaxy once again. Chief Coordinator Unipark stood at the United Earth Defense Podium 2 years later. The Concordat had retreated, but humanity's journey was just beginning. Below her, the newly commissioned captains, both of ancient ships and modern hybrid vessels, prepared to take their posts. Jinwoo, now Earth's first ambassador to the stars, joined her on stage. Ready to make history again? He asked. Yuna smiled, watching the ships rise into the dawn. We already are. This time, we'll remember. The ceremony was taking place in the newly constructed United Earth Defense Headquarters in Seoul. The building itself was a perfect blend of recovered ancient technology and modern innovation. Crystalline spires that housed both traditional offices and neural interface chambers. Below the stage, hundreds of newly commissioned officers sat in their dress uniforms. Some wore the sleek silver of the ancient fleet, others the dark blue of Earth's new hybrid ships. Together, they represented humanity's future among the stars. Minho sat in the front row, now an admiral commanding Earth's Pacific Fleet. His ship, Dawn's Light, had become a symbol of humanity's awakening. It floated in orbit above them, along with dozens of other vessels that combined ancient power with new innovations. 2 years ago, Yuna continued her speech. We discovered who we truly were. We learned that our history stretched far beyond what we had imagined. But more importantly, we learned what we could become. The massive screens behind her showed scenes from the past 2 years. The reconstruction of cities damaged in the initial alien attack, the emergence of new technologies as humanity's ancient knowledge merged with modern innovation, the first diplomatic missions to nearby star systems. We have built something new, she said, gesturing to the graduating class before her. Not just a copy of what our ancestors created, but something unique to our time, our understanding, our vision of the future. Jai-yun, now the commander of Earth's fighter corps, watched from her seat as holographic displays showed their new defensive network. Ancient satellites merged with modern systems, creating a shield that protected not just against attacks, but against the loss of knowledge that had happened before. Guardian's presence hummed through the neural networks that now connected much of Earth's infrastructure. The AI had evolved too, growing alongside humanity as they rediscovered their heritage. Its voice echoed softly through the neural links. The cycle is broken. This time, we move forward together. Yuna presented the commissioning certificates, each one encoded with both digital and ancient quantum signatures. The new captains would take command of vessels that represented the best of both worlds, the recovered power of their ancestors and the innovative spirit of modern humanity. We face challenges, Jinwoo added, stepping forward to address the crowd. The galaxy is vast, and not all of it welcomes our return. The Concordat remains, nursing their ancient grudge. But we are not alone. The screens showed images from their first contact missions, peaceful meetings with civilizations that remembered humanity's ancient role in the galaxy. Some had been allies before, others were new friends made since their awakening. Our ancestors chose to hide their power to protect us, Yuna continued. They believed that we needed to find our own way, to grow strong through our own efforts. They were right. What we build now will be stronger because we understand both who we were and who we have become. The ceremony concluded with the traditional launch sequence. One by one, the new captains teleported to their ships, ancient technology making the impossible seem routine. The sky above Seoul filled with light as vessels of all sizes broke orbit, heading out to their assigned posts throughout the solar system and beyond. Minho watched his new officers take command, remembering his own first days as a captain. "We've come so far," he said quietly to Jae-yun. "Sometimes I still expect to wake up and find myself teaching physics." She laughed, her neural implants glinting in the morning sun. "Would you go back if you could?" "Never," he replied, watching as another group of ships disappeared into hyperspace. "This is who we were always meant to be." As the ceremony ended, Yuna and Jinwoo stood watching the last ships depart. Earth had changed more in 2 years than in all its previous history. Cities now floated on anti-gravity platforms. Ancient healing technology had revolutionized medicine, and humanity's first extrasolar colonies were already being established. "They're waiting for us out there," Jinwoo said, looking up at the stars now visible even in daylight through their enhanced atmosphere. "All the worlds our ancestors knew, all the mysteries they left for us to solve." Yuna nodded, feeling the weight of both history and future on her shoulders. "And this time," she said, "we'll face it together. Not as ancient or modern, but as who we truly are. Humanity awakened, humanity remembered, humanity united." The dawn of their new era had truly begun.